So I've now watched Mission Impossible Final Reckoning twice, and for being what I assume is the final installment of the franchise, at least for now, I can't say I wasn't underwhelmed. And not because I think it's a bad movie by any means, but for what was supposed to be the highest stakes, most impactful movie of the franchise, it just didn't blow me away. I really just felt myself wanting more from this movie. And not in a way where I'm excited to go see where the future of the franchise goes. Of course I'm excited to see more Mission Impossible, however they end up continuing it. But that I feel that there wasn't enough content in this movie to leave me satisfied for the ending of Ethan Hunt's storyline. And I know they left the movie open-ended, but the content they put in to give it that feeling of finality just bogs down the movie in my opinion, and didn't really work for me. But I do want to talk about the good stuff first so people don't think that I hate this movie, because there is a good chunk of the movie that I like and enjoyed. And yes, this entire video will contain spoilers, so here's a warning. I want to start by saying that the entire second half of this movie is amazing. The tension, the music, and the insane stunts that Tom Cruise pulls off in these movies always make worth watching, and for this one, it makes worth watching alone. Which is why my favorite part of the movie is the underwater submarine sequence. Everything to do with that section of the movie was just so Mission Impossible, what I was looking for at least. The way things just kept going wrong over and over again as the scene went on, that's just my favorite part of these movies. The way they build tension and just show the most outlandish situations that they can possibly think of is why we go to see these movies. Along with that, the movie looks great. I think that there are some genuinely incredible shots in this movie. Obviously, everything to do with the underwater sequence looked fabulous. The camera work for the most part was very engaging, even though for one particular action scene, they clearly wanted to make it very violent, but they ended up panning away the camera and relying on sound structure to play it off as a joke, which I, and I'm sure many others, were not a fan of. I get that the movie wasn't rated R, but edging us like that just took me out of the movie a bit. Another great scene in this movie, though, obviously being in the trailer, the airplane stunt scene, fantastic. I mean, what more can you want from it? It's the most insane stunt Tom has ever done, making it such an amazing action sequence. Unfortunately, I do have another slight problem with that scene that I'll get into later, but regardless, amazing. I want more of it in the future. Please, Tom Cruise, come back. Another positive I do want to mention is that these movies always have great humor attached to them. They never fail to make me laugh. The performances are also all great, which is to be expected at this point because the casting in these movies has just been phenomenal all the way through. The way that everyone acts in this movie, especially in the President's Room, really does a great job at making the stakes they set for this movie feel nerve-wracking and feel intense. The conflict that the government has to talk through, I think, was also done expertly well. Obviously, Tom is acting his absolute butt off in this movie, and that's no surprise. He's amazing. He's such a great lead in these movies, and I'm curious to see what other projects he's gonna be in going forward. I know he's getting older, but I just cannot wait to see more from him. I know he loves making movies. And I know there's been some controversy with him, but you know, separate the art from the artist. I'm just here to talk about the amazing movies he's been a part of. That being said, I do have quite the bit of negatives with this movie, unfortunately, which sucks because I really wanted to like this movie going into 2025. It was probably top 4 most anticipated movies of the year for me. But I do have to talk about the negatives because this movie is very disjointed in my opinion. I want to start off with the fact that the first third of this movie was very hard to get through in my opinion. I think that everything that had to do with the recapping, the flashbacks to other movies, and some of the exposition just didn't add anything that I would say improved the movie. And I get that since it's the last one, they want to encapsulate the whole franchise. But I think that everything to do with the first hour or so just hurts the pacing tremendously. This movie is almost 3 hours long and you really feel it. I think that this also has to do with the fact that there really weren't many high-octane action scenes like the other movies, Rogue Nation, Fallout, and even the previous Dead Reckoning Part 1. There are amazing scenes in this movie that I like a lot, but none of them really sped up the momentum of this movie. Along with the action scenes, I have to bring up an issue that I had with the best stunt of Tom Cruise's career being the hanging off the airplane scene. I don't know if it was just me, and I don't know how else they were supposed to do it, but I just felt like the way the scene was shot, it didn't feel to me that what I was looking at was actually happening. I know Tom does all of his own stunts, but to me, I just felt like it could have been shot better to make me feel more in awe or more engaged with it. At no point was I like, I can't believe he's actually doing this, because it just didn't look real to me. I don't know if I'm just weird for that, but that's just how it made me feel, so I wanted to talk about it. Another huge part of this movie that I believe takes away from it was Gabriel. Everything to do with this character just felt so out of place, being in the previous movie and this movie. I know that the real enemy was the AI, but our physical enemy Gabriel that we see way more than the AI, I just felt no attachment to him as a character, even a little bit. And I'm going to assume that the writers felt the same way, because any chance that Gabriel had to establish himself in either of these last two movies, he was just embarrassed. He lost every fight he was in for the most part, and just the way he talked and did things was almost campy in a way that I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, but to me, it never made him feel like a threat in the slightest. This was so much to the point where his death is literally to come off as a joke, and I found it hilarious, but I had no doubt in my mind that he stood no chance against Ethan. And also, not that I had any serious problems with Haley Atwell's character, but I really don't know why she was included in these last two movies, other than to give Tom a love interest. Regardless, I list a lot of these points as separate negatives, but I truly think that it just came down to the writing in this film. I just think that the way this movie was structured / the framing of this movie is what really brought it down for me. Regardless, I still think it was a good movie, and it definitely has its place among the rest of them, even though it would be lower on my list comparatively. 6.5 out of 10. Has some enjoyable scenes, but a little lackluster considering it's supposed to be the ending of this franchise, at least with Tom Cruise. As always, let me know what you guys thought of this movie down in the comments. I'm curious to see if you guys agree or disagree.